I know you- I'll now call to order the November 6, 2025 meeting of Mayor and Council. I'm going to call on Mayor Pro Tem Andy Gibbs to lead us in prayer. Please remain standing for the pledge.
Bow your heads, please. Dear Heavenly Father, just thank you for this evening. Thank you for bringing us all together. Lord, I just ask you that as we look at the different things on our agenda tonight, that you help us to make the best decision for our community to move our community forward. Lord, I just ask you, Lord, to continue to put your arms around us, your protection. I thank you, Lord, for sending your Son to die on the cross for our sins, Lord. I thank you for the things that you've given us in our life, the mercy, the grace that you've extended to us each and every day to allow us to be able to wake up and walk among other people and help us to serve others as you want us to serve, Lord. And I thank you for everything you do for us. In your name I pray, amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Awesome. I'm gonna keep squishing. Yeah. She's awesome. All right, we'll start off with public hearing items. Item A, consideration of an ordinance for a conditional use permit for the establishment of a bed and breakfast within a historical overlay district. Matt Martin, our fantastic planning director, to present. Matt, how you doing?
Doing fine, Mayor. Thank you very much. We have 4 public hearing items on the agenda this evening coming by way of the Planning Commission. First one is a conditional use request by Tracy Rose and Kamala Wiles for a bed and breakfast inn within our historic overlay district. Property is located in Brookwood North Historic Neighborhood at 200 East College Street.
Yep.
This is the northeast corner of Slater and East College. As you see by the zoning map on the screen and in your packets, subject property is zoned R10, as is the surrounding neighborhood. Character area is established residential. Aerial imagery shows the old growth vegetation, some of that not there anymore. This is aerial imagery from 2007, but the buildings have certainly been there, some of them 100+ years. Site sketch in your packet shows the existing residence. It is a 2-story historic building, a little over 4,500 square feet. It is owner occupied by the applicants. They're simply wanting to host occasionally out-of-town visitors in their home as guests under a bed and breakfast type format. They are here this evening. They can go into a lot more detail about what they plan to serve and how to be hospitable to their guests a lot better than I. But site sketch, no proposed changes to the building or to the site itself. It has 2 driveways, an existing parking lot in the back, which is plenty large enough to accommodate extra vehicles. History of the property, not too many years ago, it was still a fraternity house that operated there many years. It has changed quite a bit since those days. It was restored by the previous owner, changed color, changed a lot of things, but went from a fraternity house back to a very nice historic single-family residence. Pictures of the surrounding area. This is the southward view down Slater. The subject property is the green building there on the left. This is their side wall that faces Slater Street. A closer view of the view from Slater. Notice the yellow curbing along the street. That means no on-street parking. That's reflected in some of the recommended conditions. And then the parking area, this is the back lot where I think most of the guests would be parking. There's also the other driveway that leads to the garage door. And then a view of the interior. I believe this is from a couple years ago when the house was being marketed. But it gives you an idea of what the inside might look like. Adjacent properties, this is the property directly to the east, which used to be an accessory building back when it was a fraternity house. That was parceled off as its own piece of property. It is also owner occupied and been fully renovated, and also looks a lot different than it did a few years ago. Eastward view down College Street, going toward Williams, and then a small apartment building, also a historic building. but this is directly to the south. And then the west review back toward Patterson Street, and so you see the brown view of some more historic buildings from the area. Planning Commission reviewed the conditional use request at their meeting on October 27th. They found the request consistent with the comprehensive plan, the conditional use review criteria, which are there in your packet, and they are recommending approval of it subject to 4 conditions. The first one is approval shall be granted in the name of the applicant only for a bed and breakfast inn in R10 zoning and the historical overlay district for the existing building in accordance with LDR sections 210-6 and 218-13H. Those are the supplemental standards for bed and breakfast inns. Copy of those details are also in your packet. And continuing, the property shall continue to maintain its residential character and historic appearance as approved by the Historic Preservation Commission. Number 2, all parking shall be on-site and located in the rear yard only. And third, signage shall be limited to either one incidental wall sign not to exceed 5 square feet, or one freestanding sign not to exceed 4 square feet and 3 feet in height. And lastly, number 4, conditional use approval shall expire after 2 years from the date of approval if no business license application has been submitted by that date. As we talked about at the work session, these recommended conditions are tailored after the approved conditional use from several years ago, a couple doors down the street to the east. But glad to answer any questions you might have.
Council, any new questions for Matt? Matt?
Okay.
Well done, thank you. Again, this is a public hearing item. I will now establish 15 minutes for each side, both for and against. Saying that, is there anybody that would like to come forward and speak in favor of that request?
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Tracy Rose. This is Tamala Wiles. We reside at and are the owners of 200 East College Street, which is just a block off of Valdosta State University. And we are here to ask for final approval of a conditional use permit that would allow us to open Rose Wiles Bed and Breakfast in our 100-year-old home. Our home, which was designed by Lloyd Greer, is a really beautiful example of 20th century Valdosta architecture. And we fell in love with it immediately, not only for its character, but for its craftsmanship and the story that it tells about this community's history. Our vision is very simple. We'd like to share that story and build on it through hospitality. We want guests to experience Valdosta not just as visitors, but as neighbors, to enjoy a warm breakfast, a welcoming, inviting space, and genuine conversation in a setting that feels like home. We understand the value of maintaining the residential and historic integrity of our neighborhood. And that's why our model is small scale, it's quiet, and it's owner occupied. We'll live full-time on site, and we're limiting ourselves to a few guest rooms, no large gatherings, no outside events, no restaurant, no commercial signage beyond what's historically appropriate. And our guests will typically be parents of visiting VSU students, travelers who are exploring South Georgia, or heritage tourists who value staying in a historic property that is within walking distance of downtown and campus. Approving this conditional use permit, we feel benefits Valdosta in several key ways. One, through historic preservation. We are investing in the longevity and the legacy of this thoughtfully restored home, and we are protecting its structure and story for future generations. 2, through tourism and economic growth, our guests are going to spend money locally at downtown shops, at restaurants, at events, and that will strengthen small businesses in this town. Community character, unlike hotels, a B&B is personal. It fosters connection, and it showcases the heart of Valdosta through local hospitality. Safety and stewardship. As owner occupants, we will maintain the property daily, we will keep it beautiful, and we will do our part to ensure that the neighborhood remains safe and respected. And inclusive hospitality, we will be a space where all people feel welcome. Families, solo travelers, guests from every background. We believe that hospitality should reflect the warmth and the diversity of Valdosta. We've already spoken with several of our neighbors and local business owners, and we've really been encouraged by their support. And we're committed to being good neighbors. We're committed to maintaining the character of the street and ensuring minimal noise and traffic impact. Everything that we do will be in line with the spirit of both the Historic District Guidelines and the comprehensive plan for the city. So at its heart, our proposal isn't just about running a business. It's about preserving history, it's about extending hospitality, and it's about investing in Valdosta's future. That is why we moved here. And we want to breathe new life into this beautiful home, one that really welcomes guests in the same way we feel Valdosta has welcomed us. So we thank you for your time, we thank you for your service, and we thank you for your, we respectfully request your,
Tracy,
and we are happy to take any questions.
Tracy and Emmett, you have a beautiful home.
Thank you.
I'm glad you survived the homecoming hijinks of 2 weeks ago as
It
well.
was great. We love hearing the football game. That's awesome. It's awesome.
All right, council, any other questions? Ms. Tooley?
Just have one other question. I didn't hear, you may have said it. How long had y'all been living there?
We purchased the home August 6th, and we moved in immediately.
Okay.
And we do both work full-time. We have day jobs. We work in the title insurance industry, so we're remote workers, which means that we are literally home all the time. And we've been here how long now? Yeah.
It just sounds like you've been there for a while and you like living there. I feel like you're gonna take care of it. So no, that was just curious. Okay, thank you.
We do have an affinity for historic homes.
Nice. Council, any other questions? Thank you, both.
Thank you.
All right, is there anybody else who would like to come forward and speak in favor of this request? Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Ellen Van Dyke. My wife, daughter, and our dog and I live across the street from Tracy and Kamala in our own historic home. My wife is on the Brookwood North Neighborhood Association Board. We wanted to share our family's full support for this request. Tracy and Kamala are wonderful, community-minded neighbors who've brought so much positivity to our street already, and we believe they are small, owner-occupied B&B would be a real asset to both the neighborhood and the city. Additionally, the Brookwood North Neighborhood Association Board recently held a neighborhood meeting and approves of the conditional use request.
Fantastic. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who would like to come forward and speak in favor of this request? Seeing none, is there anybody that would like to come forward and speak in opposition to this request? All right, seeing none, council, it's yours for action. Oh, I'm sorry.
Hey, good evening. I'm David Blevins. I'm a neighbor down the street. We are concerned about the change of characterization of the neighborhood, not necessarily this project, but opening the can of worms that could allow others to come in and change the character of our neighborhood that has been so strong for so long. I'm also of the understanding that there's an adjacent neighbor who is also in favor, against this as well. And I've been told that they have reached out to each of you individually with their concerns. Thank you.
David, thank you. Any questions for David? Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, David? One of the council has a question.
Yes, sir.
What is your exact opposition to it? I mean, because this is a conditional use. It's not changing the zoning pattern, so a whole bunch of people can come do the same thing. Each individual house will have to do what they're doing. So that's what I'm asking, what is your opposition to it?
Well, basically, I think it would set a precedent that, hey, we've done it once before in the neighborhood, we can allow it again. It just would make it easier. I know the last time that this issue came up, that it was voted down, and I'd like to politely ask that you would do the same in this one.
That's the only
Did I
question I
answer?
Yes.
Okay,
Any other questions, council? All right, thank you.
thank you.
I do have one question for Matt, if you don't mind.
Council question for Matt Martin.
Yes, sir.
Is there any other bed and breakfasts in this same area?
Not that I'm aware of. The one that we talked about at the work session that was approved a few years ago is 3 doors down. It has changed ownership and so on. It doesn't meet its condition, which was name of applicant only. That's the only one I'm aware of in this immediate area. Elsewhere in town, there were some, but I'm not aware of any ones here that we were officially aware of. And I don't remember any being denied recently.
Okay.
Question. Wasn't the one down the street an Airbnb?
One down the street was advertised through Airbnb. It was owner occupied. And then they got a long-term renter in there who used to be a city staff member. And then the property was sold, and then that changed it out of Airbnb to just single-family residence.
Because
And
once
I
it's
think it's
sold,
owner occupied.
once it's sold, the condition,
Right, the conditions are
Condition's
the
gone.
same, so condition one was
Yeah.
approved in the name of applicant only. So
Right.
when that applicant down the street was no longer the owner and
it goes
operator,
back.
the approval went away. And
Gotcha.
anyone else in that building down there that wanted to do this would have to do their own application, own public hearing process.
I got you.
Follow-up question. What's the difference between a COP for a B&B versus an Airbnb?
Airbnb is a branding thing, it's a company. The use in our use table of the zoning ordinance is bed and breakfast inn. That is a type of lodging facility with a very specific definition. It requires a conditional use permit for this kind of property.
So either way, Airbnb or just B&B?
It's like Kleenex and tissue, it's just,
Okay, yeah.
it's a bed and breakfast inn. There's different ways to operate it. I will confess to you that I'm a frequent visitor of bed and breakfast inns or short-term rentals through the different companies, and they all operate differently, which is why a conditional use permit process is a very good idea for this, where we can get into those details and deem some versions appropriate for the character of the neighborhood, perhaps other versions not. It's a very good, useful tool to have.
Thank you.
Matt, thank you. All right. I'll announce one more time. Is there anybody else that wants to speak in opposition to this request?
Yes, my name's Ernest Campbell. I've lived on College Street for probably 37 years now. I live in 212 East College Street right now, and my concern is this gonna affect the value of our property as we go along? And like he said, they built one there, are they gonna build another one? Because, hey, they can do it, we can do it. So I'm more concerned about is it gonna affect the value of our property in the future and stuff like that? That's my concern.
Any questions for Mr. Campbell? Thank you. All right. Anybody else that wants to speak in opposition to this request? A big, long pause this time. All right, seeing none, council, it's yours for action.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the bed and breakfast, the conditional use permit.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in,
Yes,
Yes,
with the four conditions.
thank you, Matt. I have a motion and a second. All in favor, show of hands. Motion carries. Ladies, good luck. Move on to item B, consideration of an ordinance to rezone a total of 75.44 acres from single-family residential and environmental resource to heavy industrial. Again, Matt Martin to present.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. This is a rezoning request on the east side of town. Applicant is Smyrna Ready Mix Concrete LLC for property that they have under contract that is currently split zone, actually in 3 different designations, ER and R6, like you see, also M2. The property that they are interested in acquiring is about 90 acres, of which 75 acres is not zoned industrial like the other. If you look at this map, you see the M2 zoning immediately to the north along the CSX Railroad. That is part of the 90 acres. And there's a series of maps in your packet that illustrate that. Remember, we talked about the history of how the R6 and the ER got there. Is through annexation of county islands that had a very non-industrial zoning, and hence the zoning that carried over. But the request is to rezone all of this to M2 so that it's all consistent with the M2 and the M1 zoning around them. Character area for many, many years has been industrial activity center, which calls for heavy commercial or industrial uses in type zoning. You see it's predominant throughout. Aerial imagery, this is from a couple years ago, before the hurricanes, where the current owner of the property went in and harvested timber. And the areas they did not harvest, that is where most of the wetlands are located, even though I think some of the wetland delineation would fall a little bit outside of it. There's been already some preliminary mapping showing that. But this is the subject property, how it sits. You see that it's surrounded by trees, bordered on 3 sides by a railroad track. A lot of land there, surprisingly more than most people realize, that has never been developed. Survey, again showing the 90 acres. You can see sort of the wetlands delineation there in the middle. That is something the applicant will have to work through when they do their site planning process and going through plan review and permitting for whatever the use is and with the zoning that's in place. Rezoning is this portion of it in the cross-hatching. And then the aerial imagery overlaid with some of the wetlands delineation. This all has to be ground truth. That's all part of the plan review and permitting process. What the applicant is showing you here in the upper right-hand corner is a concept of a concrete batch plant. That is one possible location for it, although that would pose some site development challenges. Some other options they're looking at is having a better alternative access to Clay Road, and that's something the city's going to be looking for during a plan review process. But what's before you is a zoning change, not a site plan approval. So some imagery nearby. This is the beginning of the subject property at the very western end of Savannah Road, looking westward along the power easement, which runs parallel to that north boundary and the railroad. Where the batch plant would be located is beyond those trees off to the left, and that's where the beginning of the 90 acres is. So it goes way on back. But as you can imagine, the property's never been developed, so any access for any development in there is going to require a bit of work and a bit of upgrade. Truck traffic needs to have access to a good road that can handle the weight. That is not Savannah Road, so hence the alternative. But for employee parking, automobile traffic, this kind of road would work. Adjacent properties, you have to go past some industry to even get to the subject property. So backing up on Savannah Road, back toward Clay Road, looking westward toward the subject property, you'll see an industry with a large pipe overhead. To the left is what I call the satellite facility for the chemical plant. It's on East Hill Avenue. Across the road is where the pipe leads. You see it going across the railroad to the chemical plant that's on Hill Avenue. This is the back side of it along the railroad track. And from that point, looking eastward back toward Clay Road, which is way in the distance, about 2,000 feet in the distance, is just the lonely road through the wooded area. And on your way to Clay Road, you see a salvage yard on the north side. And then there's 2 residential streets that run southward away from the salvage yard to the south, one of them being Stokes Drive, the closest one, which is still over 1,000 feet from the subject property. Again, it's the zoning pattern to change the R6 and ER portion of this 90 acres to match industrial zoning around it. Planning Commission reviewed the rezoning at their public hearing on October 27th, found the rezoning consistent with the comprehensive plan, our standards for exercise of zoning power, which are outlined in your packet, and they are recommending approval of the rezoning by 9-0 vote. Any questions on this one?
Council? No? None. Matt, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Again, this is a public hearing item. I'll designate 15 minutes for each side, both for and against. That being said, is there anybody that wants to come forward and speak in favor of this request? You look like a concrete guy.
I was going to say, well, I'm actually not a concrete guy. That's the funny part. So my name is Richard O'Shields. I'm actually the Director of Real Estate for SRM Concrete. We are really excited about this site and being part of Valdosta, giving you a little bit more competition here in the marketplace for pricing and things like that. We are a large company, but we're a family-owned company. We still have, our CEO is the son of the owner, started 21 years, or it started in 1999. If you guys have any questions about the site or any of our operations, I'd be happy to answer those for you. There's a lot of misconceptions when it comes to concrete batch plants. It's not a cement terminal, it's not a cement plant, it's just a batch plant where we just store aggregates. Things go into a hopper, they load the truck, and then as the truck's rolling down the road and the drum's turning, that's when the cement's being mixed. So with that said, if anybody's got any questions, I'd love to answer them for you.
Council, any questions? No, it was a site we didn't think could be developed, so.
Well, it's a wonderful site. It's a lot of acreage too, so it works out well for us because we can get back. We can be back there and nobody even know we're there. So,
Yep, awesome. Thank you.
okay.
Is there anybody else that would like to come forward and speak in favor of this request? Seeing none, is there anybody that would like to come forward and speak in opposition to this request? Again, seeing none, council, it's yours for action.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the rezoning request as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second, all in favor? Fantastic, welcome to town. Move on to item C, consideration of an ordinance to rezone a total of 49.92 acres from planned residential development and highway commercial to a combination of multifamily residential. Matt Martin again to present.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. This one's also rezoning by John Owens on the northeast part of town. This one is also a split zoning type of situation, just a little bit more complicated, but we've put some different maps in your packet to help illustrate. As you see currently, the subject property is PRD and highway commercial. This stems from a annexation and rezoning case back in 2004 that's described there in your packet, but it included these areas as well as that RM zoning that you also see on the map that's along the eastern boundary. That was a request based on a planned mixed residential and commercial development at that time, 21 years ago. The CH portion was a planned commercial area of about 5 acres. The RM portion that you see was planned to be apartments back then, and the rest of it was a mixed residential of houses of different sizes and densities and townhomes. What the applicant is proposing now is to reset the pattern of zoning to one that is only RM or R10, which is single-family residential. And we have more maps on that as we go along. Character area is twice, two different characters: established residential in yellow, that's most of the property; neighborhood activity center along the inner perimeter road frontage, that's where you see the commercial zoning part of it. Aerial image. Up until the last hurricane, there was a lot of trees. There's still a lot of trees, just not quite as many as there once were that are standing. But as you see, undeveloped tract of land, even though that approval was put in place 21 years ago, nothing has happened. The only feature really of note is two things. You see a power line easement that cuts east-westerly through the property. It's about 100 feet wide. That is one of the major power line feeds into Valdosta. And another feature that's a little harder to see on this map is diagonally from northwest to southeast is a tributary of Knights Creek that serves to drain this property as well as some of the surrounding area. And that'll be a prominent feature in their site plan, and is already the main feature that splits the proposed zoning that they're asking for. Subject property is seen from J.C. Shack Road at the crossing of the power lines. This is looking into the subject property. You see the railroad in front of you, like we talked about at the work session. Even though it looks like a lot of frontage on J.C. Shack, it's actually a lot of frontage on a railroad track. So that presents some obstacles for development, and I think is a main reason why nothing has been developed in the 21 years since we annexed. Up at the corner of J.C. Shack and Inner Perimeter, this is looking westward. Subject property is there on the left. And then the opposite end of the property, where there is the Falling Leaf Lane street stub out that comes into the south boundary of the subject property. This is that view. And then backing away from that, you see the end of that neighborhood with R10 development and homes. And then looking a little more broadly to the east of the subject property across J.C. Shack Road is a very large single-family residential subdivision under construction. And the other prominent feature on Inner Perimeter on the opposite corner is a large Perimeter Road Baptist Church. So in your packet are a series of maps. So the current zoning pattern again looks like this. Mostly PRD zoning. That's a defunct zoning district that we no longer use, that tied to the master plan from 21 years ago, which means in that blue area, the only thing that's allowed to be built currently is that 21-year-old master plan. Any deviations from that trigger a rezoning, and that's why we're here. So the proposal is to go from the other map to this. Everything in the brown shading is to be multifamily residential. Everything in the lavender shading is R10, that it matches the same zoning as the neighborhood to the south. And then you see the boundary between these sort of curves a little bit. That's the run of that tributary of Knights Creek. There's wetlands associated with it. Crossing that would be difficult. And so what they are proposing is to do residential, but in two different styles and densities, with the creek being the natural dividing line. The old master plan from 2004 gives you this layout. Again, you see that same run of the creek featuring through. The creek hasn't changed. But what they were proposing back then was a single-family home neighborhood on the southwest quadrant of much higher density. That was about 37 houses under that plan. Applicant is proposing 19 under conventional R10. What the applicant was, or a different applicant was proposing 21 years ago, was much higher density, but the same basic layout design. And then the rest of it is, back then, as you see, different sizes of single-family homes, but also a lot of multifamily and about 5 acres of commercial. The total dwelling unit count of this original plan was about 275 dwelling units plus 5 acres of commercial. What the applicant is estimating that they will have about 350 dwelling units, so more dwellings, but no commercial. So in staff's view, it's sort of a wash in terms of overall intensity. Proposed initial concept, they are showing the phase 1 of the multifamily in the upper right-hand corner. And then you see the 19-lot subdivision down in the lower left. The rest of it has yet to be designed because, as we mentioned, there's wetlands on the property, the power line easement, a lot of things to be looked at from an engineering standpoint. They haven't gotten that far along. One of the things we talked about at the work session, our development rules require that once you go past 50 dwelling units, a second means of access is required. This only has one currently from Inner Perimeter Road. So once they get past the 50, they've got to find access another way, either across the railroad to J.C. Shack Road, or more likely into the vacant property to the west, which gives them openings to other streets. And my understanding is those conversations have already started. Building elevation provided by the applicant shows the townhouse-style apartments that they're looking at doing. This is, I believe, a very similar design that they've done elsewhere in Lowndes County, and they're proposing it, at least for this phase 1 area. It may be different on other phases. So with it, what we're looking at is not approval of a site plan, but simply a rezoning to get rid of a PRD zoning that's been sitting dormant for 21 years into something that actually is quite similar, but under conventional zoning instead. So again, to rezone from PRD and CH to a combination of RM and R10, as shown on the other map. Planning Commission reviewed this one also at their meeting on October 27th. Found the rezoning consistent with the comprehensive plan, consistent with the standards of exercise of zoning power. Those details are in your packet, and they are recommending approval of this by 9-0 vote. Be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Council, any further questions? Eric?
Matt, so the proposal is to rezone the 43.12 to RM and 11.70 to R10?
Correct. The total change for acreage of rezoning, let me go back up to here, is 49.92, and that's the blue and the red area to go from this pattern to that pattern.
Okay.
And so mostly multifamily in the brown, and then single family in the lavender or the pink color. Not too much different than the way it was originally planned, just more conventional.
Any other questions, council? Matt, thank you. Again, a public hearing item. I'll designate 15 minutes for each side, both in favor and in opposition. That being said, is there anybody that wants to come forward and speak in favor of this request? Good evening.
Good evening, council. My name is Matthew Inman, Axis Engineering, will be the engineer for the project. Matt did a great job of laying out the project and telling the overall project. The biggest questions we have from the planning commission meeting, the parcel to the west, they're in talks to acquire that property and potentially some more that direction, but we'll have our second point of connection once we go over 50 units. We don't like how close it is to the railroad track, our one connection that's there. You know, there were several things mentioned. If somebody's going to drive out and go straight across and try to go to J.C. Shack and cut through the gore lines and all that, you know, we can't help what bad drivers do. Unfortunately, there's not enough engineering in the world to fix the way we drive around here. But that is a concern. We are trying to get a second point of access. We'd like to go across J.C. Shack, but you guys know it is dealing with the railroad. It's not an easy thing or a short task. So, you know, it'll be expensive, take a long time, and you know, we'll approach that route. You know, if that's the best path, but. We do see an access point that we will do at a later date once we go over the 50 units, you know, in the second phase, or figure out a route to get to the other property. Water and sewer both right there at the property, both available. So you know, from that standpoint, it's no concerns. You know, we have the Knights Creek tributary run through there. We'll do enough stormwater, you know, to meet code and prevent everything from any sediment or anything going into Knights Creek. So with that, is there any questions? You know, Matt did most of my job for me on this one.
Council, any questions? You're good, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to come forward and speak in favor of this request? Seeing none, is there anybody who would like to come forward and speak in opposition to this request? Again, seeing none, council, yours for action.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve this 43.12 acres to RM zoning and 11.70 acres to R10 zoning.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, show of hands. Council, thank you. Good luck with the project. That's already poised. We move on to item D, consideration of an ordinance to rezone 1.80 acres from single-family residential R15 to single-family residential R6. Matt Martin again to present.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. It's like getting in the rhythm here. So this is the fourth item. This is property located at 310 Eagle Road, currently zoned R15. The proposal is to rezone the property from R15 to R6. This is property that we have viewed before. 5 years ago, it came all the way through the public hearing process through Planning Commission. Exact same property, same applicant, different engineer, different design. That resulted in a denial by City Council on unanimous vote. So now the applicant is back with a different proposed idea with the same rezoning request. Still 1.8 acres, same location, different site plan that's there in your packet. Zoning pattern in the area is dominated by the R15, not only on the subject property, but also properties on three sides. For reference, this is directly across the street from the Langdale Place development, which is in that RP area to the south, and a few hundred feet west of North Oak Street. Character area on this side of Eagle Road is all established residential to reflect the neighborhoods that are around that area. And then aerial imagery, this is from 2007. You see the rooftops of the different houses and the tree canopy that was there. The homes on those neighborhoods to the east and west, I believe were developed back during the 1970s. Some of them were in the county at the time and had different county zonings, which is one reason why you see the RP zoning that's here. And then also, remember when we talked at the work session, the R10 is more fitting of the area. The lot sizes, the house sizes on those adjacent neighborhoods aren't meet an R10 standard rather than R15. But the interesting note there is that they were developed before the county and even the city perhaps adopted zoning. So they've been grandfathered in for a long time. Now, I believe, speculating that the R15 was put in place mainly because of the neighborhood to the north, where you see the lot size is a little bit bigger and probably a true R15 type development. In your packet is a copy of the boundary survey. Subject property from a few months ago showed the existing single-family residence. It is no longer there. That has been demolished. Land has been cleared. My understanding is the applicant has purchased the property and is now the owner. Some imagery of adjacent properties. This is on the street directly to the east, the back side of that house. And then there's some views looking down Eagle Road back toward Oak Street. Langdale Place directly across the street to the south. The view down Eagle Road to the west. Eagle Road, as you know, is currently under construction with some widening. And then some of the adjacent neighborhood streets. I think this one is Jadan, that's on the west side. And then a view looking back from the cul-de-sac back toward Eagle Road. And so you see the housing pattern that is currently there. And then one of the houses down at the corner. In your packet is a series of maps. These are the same maps that we prepared back in 2020. Back then, we were looking at a rezoning request and a plan development all at the same time. We now process those separately, as it should be, because it's different land use criteria that we look at in each case, so we separate it. So I want to emphasize that what we're considering tonight is a rezoning request for a change from R15 to R6. Site plan is not something we are approving, but if the rezoning is successful, they want to pursue that site plan, then that is a separate public hearing process under plan development. Would be necessary to make that a reality. So for comparisons for conventional development, that means without any further public hearing input, just straight by the rules, R15 zoning would allow redevelopment of the property to look like this. If they install a standard street, public or private, but meeting those street standards with the cul-de-sac that would be required, there's enough room in there to get 3 lots under R15, under some configuration very similar to this. If we were to rezone it to the next level of intensity to R10, we go from 3 lots to 4 lots. These lots would meet the R10 standard. Going one step further to R6, conventionally for houses, there's enough room to make 8 lots. Now remember, R6 zoning also allows duplexes by right if the lots are a little bit larger. It also allows townhouses conventionally if it meets the conventional townhouse standards. If you do the math, and I redid it again this afternoon, if you add up all of these lot areas, you see 6,000 square feet is the minimum for a house. You see these lots are more than 6,000 square feet. For a duplex, it's required to be 9,000. If you add it all up and divide by 9,000, you get exactly 6 lots or 6.08 lots. So if the surveyor holds their mouth just right on the layout of the lots, you could conceivably have 6 duplex lots, but that would not leave room for required stormwater management and also no margin of error in the lot areas. So my guess would be under that scenario for conventional duplexes, we would probably be looking at 5 duplex lots and 1 single family lot as a leftover. So that would be 11 dwelling units. So for comparisons, going from 3 houses to 4 houses to 8 houses, or maybe 11 if it's a mixture of duplexes and houses. Townhouses is a little bit different. I would estimate maybe 10, possibly 12, depends on the number of units per building. But again, that would have to have a street access along one side or the other, maybe the east side. Townhouse lots lined up on the opposite, and it'd be a matter of how many you could stack on the one side of the street, meeting the spacing requirements and the length of the lot. And I would guess, I think it was around 10 or 12, depending on the number per building. The rules for city townhouses, each building must have at least 3 units, but no more than 6. So there's some variability in that, but there is spacing requirements between buildings. So again, that's kind of a moving target. What the applicant has provided for you is a conceptual site plan for a townhouse-style apartment layout. It would be townhouses and under non-conventional standards. So what they're showing here is what they had submitted initially, which was 16 townhouse units in 3 buildings. Each townhouse unit would be 13 and a half feet wide and arranged like this with a shared driveway up one side. If rezoned to R6, this layout would require either a long list of variances through Zoning Board of Appeals public hearing or a plan development request with deviations, which is a different way of saying variances, that would come to City Council after going through Planning Commission. My understanding from the applicant this afternoon is they have come up with an amended concept showing 12 units instead of 16. Copies of that were put at your station right before the meeting. Very similar layout, except it's 2 buildings instead of 3. So that changes the math a little bit from 16 to 12. But again, I want to emphasize what's before you this evening is a rezoning request, not approval of a site plan. So if rezoned to R6, it can be developed conventionally as R6 under R6 rules, or if they like, they could come back at a future date with its own public hearing process for something in plan development that's eligible, whether it be single-family homes, duplexes, townhouses, or some combination. Remember at the work session we mentioned about 7 years ago, property 3 doors down to the west at 316 Eagle Road was rezoned to R10, had a plan development approved for single-family homes on a creative private street system that was 8 dwelling units for the exact same size and shape property, just a different location. And that one was never built. So again, a lot of things in play. The maps, the comparison maps are all here. Planning Commission reviewed the rezoning request at their meeting on October 27th. They found it inconsistent with the comprehensive plan, inconsistent with the standards for exercise of zoning power, and they are recommending denial of the rezoning by a 6-3 vote. Applicant's engineers here. I think some other folks too that might like to talk to you, but I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Council, any more for Matt? Matt, thank you. Again, this is a public hearing item. We'll designate 15 minutes for both in favor and opposed. With that being said, is there anybody that would like to come forward and speak in favor of this request? Good evening.
My name is Julian Cloud, and I've been in the real estate business here for about 45 years. And so I've seen a lot of projects come and go, and I've seen a lot of projects that helped the city, and I've seen projects that didn't help the city. Right now, the city, in my opinion, has a critical issue, like a lot of other cities have, and that we have an extreme shortage of affordable housing. And that affordable housing is costing us some good laborers that would like to stay here in Valdosta, but also want to be able to buy their first home, and they can't find one in an affordable range. We got people graduating from VSU and Votech that are landing good jobs and want to buy their first home, American dream. Nothing affordable in their price range. Contract nurses are coming into South Georgia Medical Center, Langdale Place, Southwell. A lot of those, I have spoken to several that said they like Valdosta and they'd love to buy a home and settle here, but they can't afford $300,000 to $500,000 house. And the absence of affordable housing is putting tremendous pressure on rental rates, and it's forcing the rental rates up to the point that it's almost not affordable to rent. And so, and then you've got the retirees, Moody Air Force Base people that would like to stay here. You got a lot of downsizers that would like to, the kids are gone, they're empty nesting. They would like to get out of their bigger houses, downsize to something more comfortable. You got Farmington Court, Huntington Ridge, a few little places like that, but nothing ever comes up for sale. If it does, there's a bidding war over it to try to get it. We desperately need some affordable housing for all of these groups of people, so that, from the younger people, so we can keep some of this talent here in Valdosta, in our city, to help us grow our city from the retirees, to the contract medical people. And on this particular project, from what I understand, I am not extremely familiar with it. The only reason I'm speaking for it is it appears to help solve some of this immediate need for affordable housing. It's my understanding that these units will sell in the range of $200,000 to $250,000, somewhere in that range. And if that is correct, then even though it's not a big development, it's a step in the right direction, it's in a good location, and I don't see how in the world approving that and those selling in that price range could do any damage to the surrounding houses, because that entire neighborhood, just about as far as you want to go, all around it and across the street, Quail Rise, that area, all these houses are selling in that same price range, 200, 250,000 range. Problem is, there's none available. There's nothing for sale, okay? So how can putting a few more houses up for sale in the same price range hurt the people that's around it? I don't get that. But nonetheless, I hope that y'all would consider voting to approve this project to help us ease some of the pressure we got on both rental properties and starter homes for people that really need them and want them. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Glenn. Is there anybody else who would like to come forward and speak in favor of this request? Welcome back.
Thank you. Again, Matthew Inman, Access Engineering, will be the engineer for the project. Mr. Julian brought some great points. As Matt had laid out, had talked about, we heard the response from last time it came before council. There were bigger homes that were pushed close to the property lines. We heard that was a problem. People didn't want to have these new houses right in their backyards. We shrunk the properties, shrunk the property in, got a much bigger buffer for all the neighbors was the intent of the design. Design for you tonight, has, we go to the site plan, yeah, actual site plan. Actually, stay on that one real quick. So we originally looked at doing an R6 layout, like suggested by Matt. And if you did this with duplexes, you could get about 12 on there. The problem with that layout and that type of development, building a road to city standards is expensive. We all know this roads are expensive. Y'all know better than we do how expensive roads are. To build a road and only get houses on one side of it doesn't really make sense. Those houses, the development cost would be twice as much because you only get to sell off one side of the street. So we couldn't do that type. But if we did that with duplexes, you get 12 units on the road. I hate that it came to you guys so late. I got the approval tonight. I mean, this evening about 4:30. Got a new plan drawn up real quick and got over to you. We are willing to take it down to 12 units. That was the new layout, the new concept that we gave to you guys. Just to point on the new layout that we've got, there's 208 feet between the back unit to the rear property line. Property's 153 foot wide. That's about 0.72 acres worth of land that we're leaving unused back on the back, just kind of as a buffer back there. If you were to take those, that's 2 lots that we're just leaving in the back that's undeveloped, that's there as a buffer to the neighborhood behind us. So it's a big space. It really, the two that I think, that have had the most concern about it, the 2 neighbors directly behind it, that land behind that is roughly the space that both of their lots just put behind this, just copy there, just left open. We're not putting anything on the back. Everything's fronted towards Eager. All the traffic will go towards Eager. So we did that as our intent was to provide a buffer to them, and we're just leaving roughly two lots worth of space behind the units. One thing that the city runs into a lot, that NIMBY principle, not in my backyard. Every piece of land in that area of the city, near the hospital, near Langdale Place, near all those areas, it's already developed. So everybody wants something nice. We all agree we need housing. Everybody in this room is going to agree we need more housing in the community. It's just that not in my backyard. I asked the city council to consider what's best for the city of Valdosta. I know it's going to be inconvenient for somebody. It wouldn't be what they would choose themselves. But the city, I hope will see that this is a good project to help the city of Valdosta as a whole, not just look at the impacts on any individual landowner. I'll make it personal about what Julian talked about. I've got a daughter at Georgia College. She graduates this time, graduates, August next year as a nurse. She's gonna be an awesome nurse. She can't move back here on a nurse's salary. There's nothing available for her. That's the intent of this kind of stuff. It's kind of personal to me because I've got a daughter who's not moving back in my house. My wife has already made this clear. We love you, but you can't live here anymore, that kind of thing. So if she doesn't move back home with us, where's she gonna buy in Valdosta? What's she gonna rent in Valdosta that she can afford on a beginning nurse's salary? And we hope down the road, the dad and me hopes many years down the road, she's gonna get married. She's gonna, start a family and be able to build the bigger house, buy the bigger land. When they're starting off on a single salary, these young students that we want to come back, these are people we want to, we've educated, we send them off to get their education. We want them coming back for our community. That's the intent of this kind of project. The homes adjacent to us on Jaden, Walmart, and on Betty Joe were built sometimes in the late 50s, early 60s. Some of them been well maintained, some of them not as much. As much as we wish everybody could own that size house now costs $350,000 to $450,000 home. Those houses, when they built them and bought them in the 60s, were a lot cheaper than they are right now. And to build that level home on the R10 layout, or, like 4 lots in that road, they'd be $450,000 homes because the land price is gonna be so much. I mean, it's not something somebody's gonna market or be able to sell in that area. It's about build a $450,000 home looking at the adjacent homes to it. It's just not the area that can be developed. It was mentioned earlier there was concern that they would, this would be copied down the street. Jaden and Walmart would somehow be all balled up. I don't think anybody's wanting to buy up all 9 or 10 houses and try to do this development next door. But I would say, if it was that we took a lot of houses built in the 1960s and built something new, it wouldn't be the worst thing. But nobody's going to buy up those houses and buy an entire street to do this type of development, right there. The amount of density we're asking for is similar to what it'd be that R6 layout with duplexes. We could get 12 units. That's what we're asking for. Now, I hate that everything got to you late tonight. I know you guys hadn't had a chance to discuss it. I'm here for any questions. I know there's probably going to be some, and if we need to push it off to a later date, I understand that. But I'm here for any questions, and happy to answer anything I can for you guys.
Council, any questions for Matthew?
Yes, I just want to ask a question. Basically, I can understand the residents there and what they would like, and that, I understand, and I kind of was with that until I heard what Mr. Cloud said when he got up here. I am a nurse, slightly retired. I have been a travel nurse, and I hear a lot of nurses, what you said, coming in and they're talking. And just to say this, I do know we are going to be having a lot of medical needs coming up here in the city of Valdosta, and I think it would be great because I can tell you right now, a lot of the travel nurses are using like $2,000. They would pay up to $2,000 just to rent a house from somebody that's nice, because it's affordable. A lot of the families, the travel nurses too, they come with their family. Some of them just work 6 months.
Yeah.
And, some of them work 6 months out of the year, and they have their family with them, more or less their husband and their dog, I'm telling you. That's what a lot of them say. So I think it's, looking at that, now the project makes sense for a lot of reasons. We do need more housing, affordable houses that they can afford, and that's within the area. Because a lot of our nurses that we have coming now, and I can tell you too, there are other people, professionals, they do want to live around that area, around the house. But if you look at it, they jog, they do a lot of things right up in that area. And I do know we will be investing, the city is going to be investing, doing a lot in that area. And I think that would be good. It would help us with our taxes. It would help with a lot of things. And it would help attract people. I understand you don't want a lot of houses, and that's good. So I'm not sure exactly how that was talking about with the layout with the different houses, but a few houses at the same value what the houses are at now, I don't see a problem with that either.
Yes, ma'am.
I was just saying and listening, but
Thank you.
what Mr. Cloud said brought back a lot of things of what I hear echoed in the community today.
Yes,
I just want to say that.
Thank you.
Ms. Dooley, thank you. Thomas?
Just to be clear, we're not voting on the layout.
No, sir.
That's right.
Okay.
I know we're
Just
voting on the zoning, but
Want to make that.
And I think I'm speaking for Matt, you're voting to allow us to go forward with R6 to come back to you with a PRD layout
You'll have
that
to
can be
come.
approved. Is that correct steps, Matt? Okay. We could
Council,
build
any
with
other
some
questions? We
screen
have
out there if we wanted to.
about a minute left on the floor. No other questions? Matthew, thank you.
Thank you.
That's going to close out the, I had it down to 1 minute. All right. If they're quick, is there anybody else that wants to speak in favor of this request? Okay, good. Seeing none, is there anybody that would like to speak in opposition to this request? Please come forward.
Hi, excuse me. I'm Chastity Luke, and I live directly behind the property, and I have several concerns. And I come to y'all tonight, like I did 5 years ago, pleading that my elected constituents are going to protect the citizens and my property values. I understand that we do we have a need for low-income housing, but I didn't pay attention to everything, but I know that the last development was like 300 and something houses. So I think we have some in the works that would, help fill that need for affordable housing. And I just feel like these properties are not consistent with the neighborhood. My house is 1955. The houses were built, they're 50 to 75 years old. We've got neighbors that are coming in, new families, and I just don't want to discourage that. I don't want Valdosta to look like Atlanta. I want neighborhoods to stay there, older neighborhoods, and I feel like people won't want to buy the properties around them if they know that they don't know who their neighbors are going to be. It's in and out people. And I don't feel like this is going to cater to older retired people because they're very narrow and they're upstairs. So I don't see older retired people wanting upstairs properties. So I hope that you find it in your hearts to keep it consistent with the neighborhood.
Ms. Luke, thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to come forward and speak in opposition to this request?
Good evening, Council. I'm Mark Heffelfinger. I live at 305 Betty Joe, right next door to Chastity, so I'm right on the north side of the property. This high-density housing, can you go to that satellite view of the, so the property being high density would really kind of conflict with the architectural flow of the that one right there. We want just houses like that size and that lot, 4 or 5. R10 would get you there, and that's a rezoning to R10, or leave it R15. It seems like there's a last-minute change before every meeting. There's something new coming up, So I don't know what we'll end up seeing there once approved R6, and I'd like to see something. 4 or 5 houses. And these 3 rows are full of people that agree with me that we want building there. We don't want an empty lot. We want something there, but we just want something that, is like the rest of the neighborhood, nothing crowded in. There's lots of beautiful areas in Valdosta that have beautiful continuity, like I'm thinking Bremerton up and on the way up to Moody Air Force Base, all that new beautiful building going on. That's a great location. There's great locations for this. Somebody's going to build here. We just want, if this doesn't get built, something is going to be built there. So we would just like to see that. It seems like this is the 3rd time that this is actually our 5th meeting, this meeting and the meeting before. It meets resistance every time. All these issues that are being voted on for this is the 5th meeting I've been at, have all been approved, makes sense, great, approved, makes sense, great. Why do I always hit resistance with this one? Because rezoning it is really the wrong thing to do in this case. So we ask that you just say no to our zoning to R6. We would welcome our 10. That would be just fine. I have one more thing I wanted to say. I guess that's about it. I don't want to hold up a lot of time, but I think it's already been said. So we would love to see building, but we want to see the right thing being built, and somebody will build on that lot.
Council, any questions for Mark?
Yes.
None. Mark, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gentleman.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak in opposition to this request?
I would, Mayor. Anthony Rowe, 317 Crestview Drive. We were not aware of the new development plans that they had downsized the thing, but currently it was under contract for code of 13 and a half foot wide townhomes. The city code is 24, so I don't think that would have met the code. But as everyone here is saying, currently, there's over 250 homes located in Pine Ridge. There are 2 houses for sale and 2 being remodeled from the storm. Resale value in this area is excellent. On one of the maps that shows the original plans, the lowest home in the area was $130,000. The highest was $182,000. So I really don't understand where this bidding war and $300,000 homes are coming from. As Mr. McLeod said, there are people in this town that need jobs and work. Well, with the older home comes repairs, and we have enough repairs for people, new roofs, plumbing, and such as that we think we could help the community grow in that way. I'm asking you to please consider how it would help us retain the integrity of Pine Ridge. I thank you for your time and your service.
Any questions for Anthony? None? Anthony, thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to come forward and speak in opposition to this request? Hi.
My name is Ann Anderson, and I live at 400 Eager Road, a few parcels down from the R15 that we're discussing tonight. As Anthony and Mark said, we're not opposed to an R10 designation for this lot. It would be in keeping with the standards of the community. But when you pile in R6, and when you pile in so many homes, the gentleman was talking about traveling nurses and elderly people and stepping stones to larger houses, and that usually precedes the demise of that neighborhood. It becomes rentals, particularly duplexes. I don't think anybody our age or any young person coming up, a traveling nurse certainly makes enough money to not have to have a duplex. It's not conducive really to families. It'll be renters and transients, so to speak. But all of us have lived here a long time, and like I said, we're not opposed to R10, but R6, we don't want the apartments, if that's what they are, you know, peeking over into our backyards, and the traffic concerns and the number of cars and the drive. You know, I feel like we got kind of a bait and switch where we don't have the latest information from this gentleman. He wants to keep us ignorant when we're not talking about we don't have the facts in front of us so that we can effectively argue our position. But all around our neighborhood, and actually as it goes further down the road, the lots get even bigger. My lot is 3 acres. The ones on either side of me are even larger than that, and there's one down there that's 5. So I don't think we should have a little R6 neighborhood in the middle of our established neighborhood, and certainly not with duplexes or townhouses. Houses would be fine. We don't object at all to houses. And as far as affordability goes, affordability is whatever you can afford. So the houses are outrageously priced no matter what. I don't know how anybody buys a house anymore. But you know, to some people, $250,000 is way out of their reach. And the average age of a first-time home buyer is, I believe last time I checked, was about 33 years old. So if somebody's fresh out of nursing school, she shouldn't be 33 years old. She should probably be 23, 24 years old. And that's not the average age of the first-time home buyer. So we would like to ask that you please protect the integrity of our neighborhood and keep that from encroaching. Every time a lot goes for sale, a house goes for sale, that somebody wants to come along, a developer who's only interested in money, and exploit the resources that we worked so hard for all these years ago.
Any questions for Ann? Ann, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anybody else who would like to come forward and speak in opposition to this request? right.
Mayor, before we move, I just wanted to say this. Oh, somebody wanted to
Yeah.
speak.
My name is Kelly Cagle, and I am a single business professional. And I bought my first home in Valdosta in this neighborhood. Back then, the houses sold for about $120,000, and it was an old established neighborhood, which was predominantly elderly individuals with a few families with children, but not many at all. Like my predecessors have said, it's a very established neighborhood. It's a quiet neighborhood. The lots range from half an acre, which is mine. My home is 1,700 square foot. I've lived there 17 years, and over the last 17 years, I've put over $70,000 in the house, trying to get it better and where it should be, from plumbing to electrical issues to a new roof because of hurricane, bathrooms that were leaking because of the cement. Most of the homes in that area were built in the early 1960s, not in the 50s or before. As far as real estate price, in the last couple of years with the house expenses, whether it be right here in Valdosta in our neighborhood or up Bemis Road or North Valdosta Road, house prices are climbing. The interest rates to get a mortgage are climbing. The salaries are not going up, house prices are. So are our city taxes going up. The problem is not just this area, as the gentleman said, $350,000 houses. I'm originally from Southwest Florida, and homes down there are more expensive than here. And I'm, as I said, in business, and I'm outside often in businesses talking to people who have moved into this community. Some are buying in the city because they like being around the close businesses of a bank, a grocery store, the hospital, a school, what have you. Some people move out to the county. Bemis has more affordable housing currently than our neighborhood. With the current situation of the market of housings, our houses about a year ago were selling for $300,000 if they were totally gutted. We have one on our street that sold for $300,000, but it was totally gutted. It had a third bathroom added to it. It was beautiful inside. But houses on our street, two just sold. One was $229,000, and another one, I don't know the exact amount because it takes about 4 to 6 weeks for the city to add it into the tax record. So don't know what that one sold for. They range anywhere from roughly 1,400 square foot. There's a few in there for 2,000 square foot. It just depends on the exact street, and our subdivision, Pine Ridge, is about 4 to 5 streets wide. But the main concern is we would like to keep it the quiet neighborhood. In the last few years, we have people cutting through our street because Betty Joe, the main road that backs up to the apartment complex, that road has become a cut-through with all the construction in the city. People have learned about this road, so they're not stopping. I live on a corner lot, little side street that comes off Betty Joe, and then it goes back to, what's the road that?
Northfield.
Hartsfield, thank you. They come through there 35, 45 miles an hour. We don't want more people coming into our neighborhood and making it larger, more noise. We've had a couple of break-ins in the last 5 years. It's a nice, sleepy little neighborhood. Everybody knows everybody on those 5 streets. We know people in the next subdivision behind us, which are 2,500 square foot houses with smaller lots than what we have. The people that have moved in, they care about the neighborhood. They care about updating the home, remodeling the home, and we're putting good money into these homes. We would like them to maintain their value. We don't want apartments coming in. We don't want townhomes coming in. We'd like to see it be a sleepy little neighborhood. The people across from me sold a year ago because they wanted to upsize and they moved. They had a young family. We just ask if you'd please consider it. It is one of the most quiet little areas in town. It's a nice neighborhood. We just want peace, and we don't want crime coming in. So please consider that. I thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you. There's about 45 seconds left if anybody wants to come up and speak in opposition to to this request?
Yeah.
All right. Seeing none, I'll close out that portion of the evening in council.
I just wanted a correction. City taxes did not go up, ma'am. We rolled back the millage rate for 8 years. You have a couple of county commissioners that you can talk to about taxes. The city did not raise your taxes. We lowered the millage rate.
Council, you're out of order.
No, I'm telling the truth. I just want to make sure we're clear.
Are you joking? Are you serious?
No, we held,
Okay.
we rolled back millage. We're out of time, we're out of time on this. I'm sorry, I have to ask you to sit down. We're out of time on this portion. Thank you.
I do have a question.
Councilman.
Matt, if with R15, those are single-family homes only, or can you have, would they be able to put any townhomes or any multi-units?
They could not.
At
R15
all.
is single-family only. R10 is single-family only. R6 allows single-family duplexes or townhomes as long as you meet those standards. So that's moving on up the ladder.
Gotcha.
And then RM, beyond that, is all of the above, including apartments.
Gotcha. Just want that clarification. Thank you.
Ms. Dooley?
I just had that question for you, Matt. We are voting on R10, right?
No, the request is to go from R15 to R6.
They went from,
Planning Commission recommended denial of it. Staff's recommendation, which is described in your packet, was to rezone to the middle category in between them, which is R10.
so, R10. That's what I was just looking at. I recommended, okay.
Any other questions for Matt? Matt, thank you.
Okay.
Council,
Mayor,
it's yours for action.
you know, a lot of good things have been said here tonight on this case. I have to confess, I personally live right down the street from this property, and I've seen it for a number of years now. I bought my home 22 years ago. But, and we do need affordable housing, but when you look at this piece of property and go down Eager Road, past Northfield, really all the way down to, if you go to Crestwood, now if they want to develop like Crestwood, that might be a different story, but I don't think that's what they're looking to do. But we have a number of large lots. You heard Ms. Anderson say that we have one that's 5 acres. When you look at the zoning pattern, it's really developed out at R10, and I think everybody agrees R10 would be acceptable if that was what was before us, but that is not. R6 is what's before us. And you don't have R6. You don't have that density, and you definitely don't have those multifamily connections that you do have with R6. Part of me would say, if he thinks he can come back with 6, 7, 8 units, that might be something to consider, but that's not what's before us, and we're not approving that. And he has not asked for us to table it. So I don't see this fitting and does not meet the comprehensive plan nor any of the land use pattern. And I make a motion to deny the request as presented.
I have a motion to deny.
Are we denying the staff's recommendation, or we're denying?
We're denying the request to go
Denying the
from R15
request.
to R6.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can we ask a question during this point? Yes,
You
right?
gotta have a second
Got a
first.
second.
Yeah. Second, I can go to comments after the second. A motion to deny. Do I have a second? I do not have a second. Do I have an alternative motion?
Dis-
You gotta make a motion before you can discuss.
yeah.
The motion to deny is made.
Yeah. Motion to deny is dead and gone.
Yeah.
Question for council?
So now we can make a motion for the staff's recommendation.
To
If-
rezone it to R10.
So now, what's before us is if we can make a motion for the staff's recommendation or to leave it as R15. Is that what before us now?
That would have been the motion to deny.
No, the deny was to go to R6. That's what we just denied.
You denied.
We haven't
going
denied
to
nothing
We haven't
yet.
denied anything.
Would have remained R15.
Right, so that's what I'm asking. So before us now is staff's recommendation to rezone it to R10. That's what staff recommended, correct?
The issue before is the rezoning request by the applicant to go from R15 to R6.
He would have to come back
That is the
before
rezoning
us.
application.
But can he, will he be allowed to bring that back in front of us?
After 6 months.
It'll be 6 months, so then you hold him, 12 months. It'll be a whole year before he can bring it back up. If we want to go R10.
Yeah, we can. Which again, when under no obligation to approve the layout when they come back.
True.
But just because we rezone to 6, it's not us agreeing to a high-density plan.
True.
Ms. Dooley?
I have a question. I did hear that the contractor came up and he said that they gave us plans late and they had decided on trying zone it to R10. Can we not honor that request and make that request? Because he did say that's what the latest plans were that they brought before us to be discussed. Can we do that?
Motion to table?
Say what?
Are you making a motion to table?
To table it until
A future council
the
date?
next council meeting? Why not? Okay, well, so that's what we're gonna do, try to get it, because I thought R10 sounds good. So I would like to have it, table this now so they can come back to R10.
Can you do that under the 12?
Okay,
Month?
Mayor,
Yeah, I mean, it's still a live issue there.
okay, Mayor, I move,
Nothing is taking place, the now failed, so table.
so we got an alternate. Okay, Mayor, I move to make a motion that we table this request right now and make a motion that we move to bring it back at our next council meeting to rezone it as R10.
I don't think we
Table
can
it
do
to the
that.
next
No, we can't do that.
Just table it to the next council meeting.
And we need a date for that.
Yeah, I think Matt's got a
What's your
concern.
concern?
You got a concern?
It's a procedural.
Yeah, Matt's come up with, tell me what your concern is.
Second. We have to second that before we do anything.
Yeah, it's, I'm sure the city attorney will weigh in on this. The request is to go from R15 to R6. You can approve or deny that request. What is also available to you, as the way I understand, at least in Georgia law, is you can, as an alternative, rezone to something more restrictive than what's being asked for, which means the zoning in between those two is R10. So that's one of your options. And I don't believe you need to wait or table a request. Staff's recommendation was to choose that middle road option and rezone it to R10, which is between what it is now and what the applicant's asking for. You cannot rezone it downward, to RE or zone it upward to RM for multifamily, because that would be outside the ranges. So right now you have R15 to R6, R10 is in the middle. And I don't believe they would need to table it for 2 weeks in order to vote on that, when I believe you could vote on that tonight with the proper motion.
Council, comfortable with that?
Okay,
Affect the current plan that we have.
that's what I wanted
I
to
just
do.
don't know if the applicant would
Right.
want that zoning designation, if they need some more time to study it. If the applicant would need some more time to study that issue,
Please.
Right.
And that would be a consideration if you wanted to allow the applicant time to think about that and give you their reaction or their impression to an R10 alternative.
Council, would you like to hear
Right.
from the applicant?
Yes,
Yeah, that's what
yes.
I was gonna ask how R10 would affect the current layout that they gave us recently.
Yep, please.
Under R10, we don't have any duplex options. There's nothing, we get 4 lots.
It would be 4 lots or a planned development with perhaps more. And that's based on that planned development request from several years ago, which was the exact same size and dimension property, 1.8 acres, 3 doors down. So conventionally, without any further public hearing, R10 could allow 4 lots with a standard street. If they wanted to do something creative with a not-so-standard street, with a little higher density being possible. We had that very same request 7 or 8 years ago, 3 doors down at 316 Eagle Road with this
Correct.
exact same size shaped property, rezoned to R10, plan development request for 8 single-family homes under a creative layout with a private street system, and that request was approved.
Yep.
So the same scenario is possible here under R10.
We'd like to table and bring back a different site plan. That's the will of the board.
But that.
I have a
that's on-
motion.
But, and
that
again,
motion's
we're
on
not
the floor.
approving a site plan with a rezoning request.
I have a motion and a second to table.
Yes, sir.
Any further comment? Okay. All in favor? Show of hands.
Fair enough.
We'll address this at a later date.
And well,
Sorry.
we need a date certain, so we,
Next meet, are we meeting next?
Do you want to wait for the full month cycle till we're back on
I think it's done now.
the first of the meeting in December?
It's done.
It's either
Yeah, I
the
think
next
the motion
meeting
was to
or
the
to
next
time
council
certain.
Next council.
Next council meeting.
Planning Commission will meet before now in December, so that's, if you want their input on R10, they did talk about it at their meeting. The recommendation's different.
We got their input on R10. Okay.
So we had
Can
next,
we put a date to that?
20th, November.
November 20th.
thank you.
Thank you. I got you.
Vote the tables. They're going to go back and look to see if R10 is favorable for them. Yep. November 20th? Yep. All right.
All right, go to the next item.
All right, council. We'll move on to item 4, ordinances and resolutions. Consideration of a resolution for responsible dog ownership in the city of Valdosta. Our Lowndes County Commissioners adopted a responsible dog ownership ordinance on October 14th of 2025. The purpose of that ordinance is to provide for responsible dog ownership as authorized by the Georgia Responsible Dog Ownership Law. The ordinance also disbanded and terminated the Animal Control Board of Lowndes County, and appeals will now be heard in probate court instead of going before the Animal Control Board. That is what is before us. Do you have any questions? The county is here and could come forward if you have any questions about this ordinance before us. Okay. With no questions, council, it's yours for action.
Mayor, make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, council? Thank you. I should probably wait to. Before I close it out, I'm going to wait for Andy's vote, even though it carried. The motion carries.
Motion carries.
We'll move on without him.
Get him a dive.
Item 4B, consideration of an ordinance that prohibits the sale of dogs and cats in retail establishment and encourages the adoption of the same. Again, Lowndes County has adopted a pet shop ordinance and has requested that the city of Valdosta adopt it as well. Essentially, it prohibits pet shops from selling dogs and cats under the terms of the ordinance. The Animal Service Department of Lowndes County will enforce this ordinance for us. Any questions? Also, the county is here, as it was, I believe, Councilman Ornstein's baby that he got to the finish line. Any questions on it?
I don't know. Prohibit. You said prohibit the sales of dogs and cats at pet shops. Does
Yeah,
that mean like,
It's to encourage adoption instead.
what I'm saying, what would that do to stores like PetSmart and people that
They don't
they
do
don't
it
sell
now.
any animals?
PetSmart is just adoption. They just come air adopt dogs.
They can sell the birds and the snakes and the,
Okay.
Mayor, without objection, I'll make a motion to approve this request as presented.
Second.
motion and a second. All in favor? Show of hands. Council, thank you. County, thank you as well. Thank you for your work on that. All right. Item 5A, consideration of a change order for the West Street Sidewalk Project. Ben O'Dowd, our brilliant city engineer, to present. Ben, how you doing?
Hungry
Long
is
day.
the adjective, sir, tonight. As we discussed on Tuesday, we have encountered aged underground utilities on the West Street project. Staff is requesting supplementary funds beyond my administrative capability to approve. We are requesting supplementary funds in the amount of $305,900.80 to cover unforeseen costs encountered during this project. Council have any questions for me on this?
Any further questions from Tuesday? Good? Ben, we're good. Council, yours for action.
Mayor, I
make a motion
that we change order.
Second.
Cut out. Put it in the bathroom.
You should not have hesitated.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, show of hands. Council, thank you. Ben, good luck.
Sorry, Councilman.
You hate that. You go back and tell those West Street people that you were fighting for it. All right, move on to item 6. A consideration of a request to approve a memorandum of understanding for small business education and technical assistance. This item was tabled at the October 9th, 2025 regular meeting, so I will entertain a motion to take this agenda item off the table at this time.
So moved.
Second?
It was tabled. You said we taking it off?
You have to take it off the
Why?
table in order to hear
Because
it.
we tabled it once before.
So we tabling it again?
You might, but it's got to come off the table for any decision to be made.
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor? Show of hands, it's back before us.
I'm lost. Okay,
Yeah,
Just a procedural thing.
I know.
All right.
I don't know why. Yeah.
all right, so. It will now be presented.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Okay. This is consideration of a request to approve a memorandum of understanding for small business education and technical assistance. Each year, council votes to approve the city's annual action plan, which is submitted to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development to outline how the community development block grant funds will be used. Under the economic development section of the plan, the city has consistently included support for small business education and technical assistance. This component has been submitted annually as part of the action plan and approved by council. So currently, 2 draft memorandums of understanding are under consideration to assess which organization can effectively deliver the highest quality of classes are requested by the city. The Southern Black Chamber introduces modern tools such as digital marketing, branding, and AI, while the Valdosta Lowndes County Chamber provides strong bilingual support for Hispanic and Latino clients. Together, these chambers can both serve the city's target audience, low to moderate income citizens, by offering resources that are both innovative and inclusive. We recommend that we approve the memorandum of understanding with the Southern Georgia Black Chamber and the Valdosta Lowndes County Chamber of Commerce. So we recommend that we split it with both of them.
Got it. Council, any questions? Okay. Thank you. Council, yours for action.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that, wait a minute, first, are we splitting it the way that we said in the meeting? 7-5. Or it was 10-5? What was the meeting? 10-5. What did we discuss in the meeting?
We have
No,
Splitting the rest is left with 15, so it'd be 7-5 for both.
Correct.
wait a minute, I thought you said in the last meeting that 5 had already been given to the chamber.
We started out with 25. 10 had already been given.
10 had been
25
given
what?
from past invoices.
We started out with 25,000,
20,000.
25.
They only get paid 10,000 every 6 months.
To my understanding, we started out with 25,000. 10,000 was given to Valdosta Lowndes County Chamber last year. It was authorized by Catherine, so they were given $10,000 last year. So we have 15,000 left now. So it'll be 7,500 that we can give both if they split up the 15 that's left.
Well, Mayor, I really think with all the confusion that's going on, with not knowing really what's happening and what's been going on based upon the emails and the email that I sent out today and the correspondence from our previous city manager, that we need to table this so we figure out who's already been paid, who hasn't been paid, what's been, I've got emails saying that they get paid 10,000 every 6 months once they fill in the proper paperwork and turn in showing that they've done the classes and stuff. But now we're being told it's 25,000. So, I mean, then I've also got emails saying that they didn't meet the requirements, but now they met the requirements, so therefore they should get paid. I mean, there's just too much going on.
I didn't say that they met the
No,
requirements.
not you. I'm talking
Okay.
in emails.
Gotcha, okay.
In the emails from our previous manager.
Yep,
Gotcha.
So it's not clear.
I tend to agree. Any further?
And
any
it wouldn't
further
be
discussion?
fair to either one for us to move forward without knowing exactly what's actually has happened.
Yep. Nick?
I think we can skip a step and just vote to make sure that it's equal, that both parties get the same amount of money no matter what we find. Because if it's 10 that was given out, if it's 5 was given out, if it's 20,000 total, both sides get 10. And
Well-
that way we get to say that we are splitting it evenly. That way we don't have to go back and vote on it again, because that is the whole point. We want it to be even, correct? So if it's supposed to be even, just go ahead and vote that we make sure that it is even, no matter which way it comes out.
75 each?
Well, no, it's gonna be more than 75 each. If it was 25 already and then
Yeah.
10 was given there, if you do that, then you split it, then that's a little bit more than that.
I'll bring up that some of the confusion is some of those invoices were January and February payments from prior year. So there is confusion here.
There is.
And there's still not invoices being paid for December 24 and January of 25 to July 25 either. That's 20 grand right there that still haven't been paid to the chamber.
Thomas?
I think moving forward that, when we do this, it needs to be under some type of contract and not just billing.
That's been suggested.
MOUs for that.
That was in an email too.
The MOU is not a,
But that
It's
goes-
always been a handshake, and now it should be a contract.
right, it should be a
Good,
contract.
good call. Sandra, I'm
Well, it's
sorry.
my understanding when we had in our budget and we talked about that, it was 25,000 that we gave to the chamber. That was on our budget. And
I
that's
believe
why.
it to be 20, but, yeah, I'm
Okay,
not
but that's
gonna-
why I'm saying it's a lot's gonna be going on with this and so forth. And we are probably gonna find some other big problems that the city may get into big problems. So what I'm saying is, if we can clear it up and let's get through with it now. Right now, we found some of the problems, we're gonna clear it up. And I just would like to say, I would make a motion that we go that we approve the option of go with the staff recommendation.
Okay. I'm gonna make that a thought for a second, because Eric still had a
Can I say
a
something?
comment.
After Eric,
Wait, Eric,
How much is left? How much money is left?
$15,000.
$15,000 is left. So regardless of what previously happened, all we're working with is $15,000.
Yes.
You are correct.
Am I correct?
Thank you, Chris. Yes.
So now you can go on to him, then we can make our motion and get this done.
And
I'm just saying, at the end of the day, the email here stating from Richard on May 28th of 2025 says, Christie has been informed that the city would not be able to pay the $10,000 until they meet requirements. And then it goes on to say, however, though, after our conversation, the information was turned in, she has met, or the chamber has met the requirements for the payment of $10,000. So that goes back to what I was saying is that they get paid $10,000 every 6 months. So I don't know where the $25,000 came in at. I have no clue about that. I'm not questioning, I'm just saying based upon what I'm reading on paper from Richard,
Right.
they get paid $10,000 every 6 months. So where 25 came from, I don't know. Have no clue. What I do know is that they still have not been paid for their invoice of the 24 year, and they still not been paid for their first half of their invoice of 25. So I'm trying to figure out, when are we gonna pay them their 20 grand that's owed to them for services that have been rendered already?
To my knowledge, no services have been rendered.
They have.
It has.
The classes have been?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
and
made,
there's been proof on emails and everything else showing that.
they made up for them after.
I would like. I did.
All right.
I did make a motion.
There was other people with their hands up, so I took that as a discussion point, not a motion. If you want to readdress that motion, Sandra, you sure can.
I would like to make a motion that we approve the memorandum as presented with, by our staff.
Second.
Is that with an even distribution of money?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
I have a motion and a second. Any further comments?
I have a comment, I have a
Now y'all
question.
can discuss it.
She made a
Is there
motion
any
to
way we
table.
could legally add $5,000 to this to make it an even 10-10?
Not here. We'd have to find that somewhere else.
Right, I mean,
I'm a little confused myself. Are we talking about, we're talking about entering into a contract with the two chambers going forward, is what I understand.
Right.
And
Yes.
the motion would pay them in the future for future services, 75 apiece for what they're offering.
Currently.
in the-
You're correct, for what's left
That's not
in the
all, that's
CDBG.
what I'm saying, we need to table it and come back with all that.
So whatever we owe in the past, to the extent we owe it, I don't know if we owe it or not, I'm just saying, then is that a separate issue? So we would,
Yes.
that's a
So-
separate issue.
All that we got before us
It's
is the remaining $15,000 and the memorandum, the understanding to just distribute that as the council.
okay.
So we'll reevaluate monies owed for services rendered.
Yes.
The way I look at it is, going forward, I think what you're trying to do is for services that will be rendered, and each chamber will get $7,500 for those respective services in the future.
Moving forward.
Is that understood with that motion? That it's got a motion and a second?
Yes, that's what's left. That's what's on the, that's
Yeah.
the motion that was made.
All right. Any other further comments, council? All right. All in favor? Show of hands. Opposition to that motion? Senator, it was your motion. You gotta raise it up. All in favor of that motion and second?
I rescind it.
3,
Opposition, same sign. 3-3 tie. I vote to move forward with the understanding of agreement, and we'll straighten out the rest later, at a later date. Whew. We got it there. All right, move on to item B. City of Valdosta is currently searching for a city manager. City Council voted on the October 23rd, 2025 regular council meeting to enlist the service of Mercer Group to start that search process. Mercer Group consists of a consortium of seasoned senior-level consultants who bring decades of experience as practitioners in local, state, and federal governments, as well as institutions of higher education and municipal leagues. Their recommendation was that the city council hire an intentional interim city manager, and after reviewing a list of qualified individuals, they've recommended Mr. Al Crace, who's recently retired as a city manager of Alma. He has spent 52 years serving in local government. For 5 decades, he led 7 cities, including Waycross, Rome, Gainesville, the unified government of Athens-Clarke County, and he served as the inaugural manager in the founding of Sandy Springs as well. Council has met with Mr. Crace until the appointment of a permanent city manager or sooner. Attached is the engagement letter and agreement for the mayor to execute upon approval by mayor and council. Our options: approve the retention of Al Crace as intentional interim city manager, or do not approve. Administrative recommendation is to retain his services and experience that will be brought by Al Crace as the intentional interim city manager. Council for comments.
Shouldn't, I mean, it's not on the agenda, but shouldn't we have a executive session for personnel for discussion?
You can ask for one. We don't need one. You've already, we're doing this in open air, and there's only one person before us, but you shouldn't ask for one.
And I'm fine with moving forward.
I would ask for it.
If no one else has any questions or comments about it, then, hey, we don't need an executive session. I'm fine.
I have questions. I would like to ask for the executive session because of the fact is, I am not in agreement with the process of how it went, because I did not get in on the discussion that we were going to do it like this. So I have a lot of questions, and I would prefer to ask them in executive session.
She'll need a second.
Second.
All in favor? Show of hands. In opposition, same sign. We now stand in executive session. Please clear the room. State now, if there's no objections from council, Dean Gonzalez and Matt Martin will be appointed by acclamation. Thank you, council. Consideration of appointment to the Public Art Advisory Committee. The following slots that need to be filled. Slot 1, Teresa Boyd, whose term expires June 1st, 2025. Slot 2, Stephen Walker, whose term expired June 1st of 2025. And slot 3, Stephen Lahr, member at large, who will expire June 1st of 2026. Mr. Boyd and Mr. Walker have not expressed an interest in being reappointed. Dr. Lahr resigned due to personal reasons. We advertise this according to our policy as well. The applicants that stand before us now are slot 1, Jeannie Centered, LVAC board member. Slot 2, LVAC professional artist, Dana Arthur. And slot 3, LVAC member at large, Leslie Beal. Again, 3 applicants for 3 slots. Without any objection, I will appoint by acclamation. Thank you, council. Item C, consideration of an appointment to the Valdosta Lowndes County Conference Center and Tourism Authority. We have 1 member, Daniel Bayman, whose term will expire December 31st of 2025. Mr. Bayman has expressed an interest in being reappointed, so again, without objection from council, Daniel Bayman will be appointed by acclamation. And then item D, consideration of appointment to the Valdosta Lowndes County Land Bank Authority. I will not, without any objection, I want to postpone that appointment to the Valdosta Land Bank Authority.
Can I ask why, Mayor?
Because there needs to be clarity on how I appoint, so we're gonna table this one.
Clarity on how you
Yeah.
You appoint by just appointing someone.
All right,
if
thank you,
want to.
thank you, Ms. Tooley, it was my appointment.
But it's not your appointment.
It is
Mayor,
my
you're wrong.
appointment, and I am postponing that appointment.
We are running this.
We are going to move on to item 8, citizens to be heard. It's the part of the meeting we ask you to come forward, state your name and address so that we may have it for the record. Our policy requires you stay under 3 minutes so that others have time to be heard. Please direct all comments to council as a whole. Do not attempt to engage individual members of council in debate. It's our policy to follow through with you. Again, any groups that come before us, please designate a spokesperson so that all have time to be heard. Having said that, are there any citizens wishing to be heard at this time? Board. And please
Hello,
identify
Council,
yourself.
Mayor, Tim Huff, 2420 Meadowbrook Drive, Valdosta. So really, this was probably a bad night to come on. It's getting late, so I'll try to make it a little bit quicker. So basically, my main concern, it's not really a concern, but there was money allocated to clean up 1 mile, 2 mile, and 3 mile, correct? So my biggest concern really is on 2 mile. They're cleaning it up behind St. John's, and that's great. I love seeing that, love seeing the progress. My concern is living off the lower end of 2 mile from Joe Reed Mill Pond to Sugar Creek. There are 2 larger log jams. I feel like there's a third party who was very vocal. He did a great job at advocating that those log jams were there. I think whenever we had the staff shakeup, I think that kind of got pushed to the back burner. Understandably, you know, there's a lot of slack. My main concern, though, is that we have money allocated all the way through. I'm just asking if there's anything left over, might you be able to pick up 2 more lots?
I'll meet with you after because there actually is an action plan for that.
Awesome.
Done.
Thank you very much.
Already done, yeah. Thank you. Are there any other citizens wishing to be heard? Good evening.
Yes, I'm James Spears. I live at, and this is my wife, Lynn.
Hi, Lynn.
I live at 306 East College, and the house we're complaining about is a bed and breakfast, and it's at... yes, the Airbnb. And it's at 308. And what I did for this Exhibit A is I went down and got the police incidents reports from, I think it's on there, January 1 to October 29. And if you look at it, 18 of the complaints are at 308. They're having large parties, which are forbidden under Airbnb rules. Actually, they're completely forbidden. They're in and out all night, slamming doors, and of course the music. And they park all the way down both blocks of College Street, all the way down to Ashley. I know that there are city ordinances on noise. I couldn't find what y'all are allowed to fine them. But I know each time they get a citation, which they're getting from now on, you can fine them. In the state of Georgia, it's $195 for the first offense and goes up to $395, and then it becomes, if it's habitual, it becomes a misdemeanor. I just don't want this Airbnb operating next to me.
We literally cannot live in the house with this going on. Last weekend, I got to bed at 3 in the morning both nights. And there's drugs, there's guns. The kid was shot. We just found that out in the police report. We didn't know that. And this has been going on for 3 years. The first 2 years, we've tried to handle it ourselves. And literally, we are literally 7 feet from their property line out my kitchen door, and the driveway's there, so every car that comes in, boom, slamming. And it starts at 2 in the afternoon and goes till 7 the next morning. There's drug dealing, there's drugs. I talked to the girl that cleans the house there. Throw up powdery substance that she doesn't want to touch.
James and Lynn, we're out of time, but we'll come right to you at the conclusion of the meeting. I said I'll come right to you at the conclusion of the meeting.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Second. Are there any other citizens wishing to be heard at this time? Celine.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor and Council members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. And before I start, allow me to congratulate our Councilwoman Tooley and Councilman Gibbs and Howard for your re-election. So thank you for your service for all of you. My name is Celine Gladwin, 217 High Street, and I currently serve as the chair of the Board of Directors of the Valdosta Lowndes Chamber of Commerce. So I am here to speak in support of the seeds. Clearly, our item that was earlier discussed was not a public hearing portion, so I just wanted to give a little bit of some information on that. As you know, the city and the chamber have had a long-standing partnership since 2004, supporting seeds. In 2004, the city reached out to the chamber to invest in seeds, which is the small business development, as you probably all know that. Since then, seeds has served thousands, over 8,000 entrepreneurs, local entrepreneurs, business owners, offering training, technical assistance, mentorship, and access to critical business resources, and all that without cost to the patrons themselves, as you know. Earlier this evening, it seems like there was a little bit of confusion, and I would like to try to give a little bit of clarity, if I can. And I understand I can't do that tonight entirely, but so there was a question this year, for the year 2025, the action plan, which allocates CDBG funds to various programs in the city, allocated, this was supported and voted on by this community, by your leadership. There was a $15,000 allocated to support the economic development sector, which both our chambers will fall under that. So that's where the $15,000 comes from, which you voted on splitting that in half, which is understandable, and I appreciate that. The other component that you were asking about had to do with the other support. So for years, there has been this partnership between the city and the chamber, where the city provided financial support to the chamber for these services. And it has been going on for several years. And that amount has been historically twice a year, $10,000 check. So what the issue has been is that the year 2024 was not paid. So there were invoices that were not paid. And the year 2025 has not paid. So the year sorry, well, I ran out of time, but we can, later I will be able to provide more, but I would like to be able to help clarify that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, I appreciate you all.
Are there any other citizens wishing to be heard at this time? All right, seeing none, I'll close out that portion of the.
No, there's one more.
Oh,
Just real quickly, comments. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Board, council members. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. I have prepared notes, but I just won't share with them. I'll just share with you that I've been here for a year and a half. I came in from Warner Robins Air Force Base, working with the Veterans Education Career Transition Resource Center. My name is Tim Craig. I work at the Valdosta Lounge Chamber of Commerce as the Director of Business Development. My experience working with seeds, my experience in general has allowed me to be able to see the value of seeds in this particular area. It's been a long-standing relationship with the city and the chamber. Numerous people have been benefited from it. And I guess I just want to say that I would appreciate to continue the relationship with the city and the chamber to continue working with seeds as we're moving forward. So other than that, thank you for your time, and I do appreciate it.
thank you, Tim. All right. If there's no other citizens wishing to be heard, I'll close out this portion of the evening. Move on to the city manager's report. There's 3 incredible opportunities this weekend. On Saturday, the Wired Up event at Wiregrass Georgia Technical College. It is a music festival and tech expo. They have really pulled together something special. It begins at 10, I think it ends at 2 on their campus, the Wiregrass campus on Beltec Road. We also have our Makers Market in downtown, also parallel to that at 10 to 2. It will move back over to the courthouse and be 20-plus vendors surrounding that courthouse square. There is also a gumbo cook-off over at Georgia Beer Company in preparation for next year's Mardi Gras parade and celebration that is being organized by a well-heeled group. That is from 1 to 5, and then the final event is Valdosta State University against Delta State. They kick off at 4 o'clock, the final chance to see VSU football this season. That's their last home game. Again, a 4 o'clock kickoff, and they're still alive. If they win, they continue to move forward. And council, that's all I have. Any other council comments? Ms. Tooley?
Yes. Mayor, I just want to clear it up. The reason I was asking why you postponed the land bank appointment, when you said it's your appointment, for one thing, the land bank has been without the city appointee for about over a year. And we are also down with someone from the county position. We are needing to have someone in that position so that we can have a quorum to make some decisions and get some things done. So with the delay of that's why I was questioning, why would you delay it when it was like nobody else has applied for that position, just like the other ones, and you appointed people by acclamation, whatever it was. For some reason, I just was concerned as why would you hold it up and not do it? And just like earlier, when we talked about it, you said you was, and here you do again. You changed you just did something different, which you have your right to make, to change your mind and do that. But it's out of order because of the fact is the way the land bank for that and how it's supposed to be, it is supposed to be a council appointment. I don't see why you don't understand that.
That's the exact clarity I'm looking for, Ms. Tooley,
And
I will do it with haste. When I have that clarity, it'll be back before you.
Okay, I understand it, and I'm not gonna argue, but we went through this before, and
agreeing
you
with
said
you.
you took the deep
I'm
dive.
agreeing with you.
Okay, then, so so you,
I'm absolutely agreeing with you.
You were delaying.
Without that clarity, and I will
but you
not.
had it, you got the clarity. You have been given the clarity. All I'm gonna say is you delaying and you are holding up the land bank.
I will with haste bring it back before us.
Okay.
Council, any other comments?
Yes, I just want to recognize Councilwoman Tooley for everything she's doing over there on the South Street, because right now it's a lot of people that are in need and has been in need, and they are definitely, she's busy over there, man. So if you got anything that could help over there, please do. But I appreciate everything that you're doing over there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and that's all I wanted to say.
Awesome.
Mayor, without objection, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Exactly.
All in favor, we stand adjourned. Thank you.
Another fun time.
See you, Tim.